happening, everybody? It's time to work on this 1992 Toyota MR2. If you're part of the Compound 75 subscribers, which you should be, you're familiar with this car. I took it out of hibernation and needed a little bit, just like this e-brake cables were seized up and the battery was dead. But now I gotta do something that I've been meaning to do for a very long time. This is something that a lot of people skip out on. When you do an engine swap like this, this is a 3S GTE, a Gen 4 out of a Toyota Caldina, and this is a base model car. Base model cars come with little itty bitty brakes. Now you can tell from the size of my wheel, these little brakes, they don't stop very good. So probably about a year, I've had a brand new set of Willwood Big Brakes for the front, at least for the front. I'll start there. I'll work my way back eventually. But for now, I think it's time to put on the Willwood Big Brakes. And I figured while the car is up in the air, I gotta do something about this this colorless lip. Now, if you watched the last video that was involving this car, I got it back on the road, and I also installed this AeroWear style eBay front lip. Don't get me wrong, I really like how it looks, but I don't like that it's not color matched to the car. It throws the whole thing off, in my opinion. If you look at it here, we got the rear spats, we got the side skirts, and then black front lip. Does not match. So what I'm gonna do is, until this front lip is matched, I'm gonna put the old one back on, and it was very cracked. So past tense Mike took care of this. Let me show you what he did. Take one of these little staple things, and you hold this for 5 seconds. It gets this thing super hot, and then basically you just kind of push into the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you don't move. Once the plastic dries, you just pull this up. And bada bing, bada boom. You do it over and over and over and over. So I did my stick-in with my Amazon plastic welder kit. It's basically like you stick staples inside of this little thing, and then you press a button, and it heats the staples up red hot, and then you press it into the thing that's cracked, and it just kind of melts right into it. This is my final-ish product. We've got the crack somewhat patched up. These are little staple fellas. Now, before I trim the ends, I'm going to use hot glue and go over that. And now, obviously, the crack is still visible, like it's still there. When I'd rather have a cracked and poorly repaired front lip on the front of my car than have the black one. And you see the color change here. That's from me heating it up on the inside. And yeah, it's not good, but it'll be all right. On the plus side, the hot glue that I have is black, so it'll look factory fresh. And just like that, voila, we have a poorly repaired crack that will not come apart, that is super visible, but it is what it is. I think from this far, oh yeah, you can't tell. You still might be able to tell. Whatever. Don't get too close to my freaking car. You'll be all right. So I think slap that on there. Let that dry. Just don't look at the inside. Oh yeah, look at all that goop. Look at all that goop. And I'm not even gonna trim the staples. There's no friggin' point. Leave the staples all pokey and all goopy. Good to go, baby! Back to you, future me. Thanks, past tense Mike. You did a great job. Kinda. What you're thinking, why would you even put this one on and then just to take it off? I mean, I thought it would be easier to get it color matched. A lot of body shops, they're caught up with insurance jobs and stuff like that. So for now, I'm going to put the old lip back on. If I mess it up anymore, won't care too much. But eventually, I will get this lip repainted. So let me get the 30-step process it takes to get this car in the air, get the wheels off, and yeah, be cracking. So not only do I want to upgrade the brakes because they're tiny and I have a bigger engine now, I also have a warped rotor. I mean, I don't know if it's warped, but like, it's embarrassing when you drive this fun, super cool car that you're proud of, and then you pull into a parking lot and it's like, so let me get all this stuff off and then I can start installing the new parts. So this is what we're working with here. You can see this heifer of a rotor. This is actually a twin turbo Supra rotor, and this is the factory one. It's probably pretty easy to tell the difference. This is marginally smaller. Like, this is a tiny little fella. We got a slightly bigger little fella. We've got our pads, we've got our calipers, we have the adapter brackets to make the Willwood calipers fit onto the car. We've got our new brake lines. I hate bleeding brakes and I'm by myself, so that will be fun. And we also have all of our mounting hardware. That should be everything that we need. One thing I do have to be mindful of is these rotors are finned. If you notice here, there's slots in the middle. Those are actually directional fins. So I am going to have to use my little brain and figure out which side goes where. That's to disperse the heat. So make sure I know which one's the left, which one's the right. Another thing I think I'm gonna have to deal with is this shield, like the dust shield. The rotor is so much bigger, so I think I'm gonna have to cut these as well. Probably just gonna cut off the top. Like, they're pretty surface rusty, but they're all around in not terrible shape. What I could do is just like cut it and fold it over, but I think I'm gonna try and do a little styly cut rather than unbolting them and taking the hubs off, and I don't need to do all that. So that is another thing I have to think of. Survey says, survey says, yeah, you gotta cut the whole thing. These are so much bigger too, like noticeably bigger, so. Yeah, probably gonna have to cut the entire thing out. I don't think I can get away with cutting the top because this has to sink in quite a bit. But for now, I think first thing I'm gonna do, get the cutting out of the way. So I set up the angle grinder, but I didn't end up needing it. Just a little bit of brute force and ignorance. Just brute force and ignorance. Just kind of wiggling his back and forth while I was talking, and bada bing, bada boom. We don't need no shields. The wheel bearing doesn't hit it. We are in it to win it, baby. All right, now I gotta clean off the rotors, put on the rotors, figure out the little mounting brackets. I think I might actually put the brackets on first. And then calipers, which I'm not looking forward to because you gotta bleed the brakes, and I don't like bleeding brakes. We have a problem. The brakes are on, they're all bled, but the freaking tire is hitting the coilover. Oh man, and that's on both sides. I was like, why is it so hard to spin? And that's why. The whole reason I had these little spacers on before is because that happened, but the rotor, like these twin turbo Supra rotors, must be just a hair thinner than these rotors. That freaking sucks, dude. That sucks, man. All right, so this is what we're gonna do.
You can see it actually, that has a bigger lip than this.
We're just gonna take an angle grinder and we'll just, and then we got spacers, hub-centric. Well, freaking, that sucks. All right, so I need spacers. I literally can't drive this car now. Shit. All right, well, that is a problem. Okay, so I found these.
These were originally on this car many, many moons ago, I think, the H&R spacers. So what I'm gonna try and do is there's these little itty bitty spacers in the front. They're 5 mil, and I think they're in the back too. I'm gonna take the back ones off, put them on the front, and double stack the front. And put a whole ½ inch on the back. I mean, it might work. Like, the wheels kind of sunk. I think the fitment's about to be freaking spot on. I don't know if the tire's gonna rub, but I think we're gonna find out. The only other thing I'm worried about is what if the lug studs are too long and they stick out past here. That's the other worry. But I'm gonna jack it up and give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Okay, so this is the spacer that I have. This is the one that I'm putting on, and I'm gonna double stack this fella in the front. The only thing I see being a problem is look at how far the factory studs stick out. There's like a little recessed part inside of here, but I have to make sure that it allows the wheel to stick in all the way. And also, I don't have any idea if it's gonna fit. So I'm gonna try and pop the wheel on. So unfortunately, there's still a gap. And it will not sit on there nice. Okay, so I have a dilemma, and it is currently 7:30 at night, and I hate to be a Jeff Bezos supporter, but I overnighted some wheel spacers. Free overnight shipping. It'll be here between 7 a.m. and 11. They got 12 hours to run around like crazy and freaking get me some wheel spacers. By all means, let them do it, I guess. We'll see you people tomorrow morning. All right, people, cousin Jeffrey Bezos to the rescue. Now, these are just 5 mil spacers. This is the only thing that I could one day ship. So I'm just gonna double up on one on the back. I'm gonna put one spacer on the back and then double up on the front, and hopefully things work. So it seemed like that one spacer is all we needed, but look at how freaking close it is. I mean, I guess it's not that bad. It's pretty freaking close to the coilover, but yeah, that gave us the clearance that we need. So I'm gonna pop it on the other side, and then I gotta pop the back on as well on the other side. This should be all right, but I'm gonna change the slip first. Forgot to do that yesterday. This project's getting a little bit more involved than I would have liked it to be, at least for today. Now the spacer fixed the issue of it hitting the coilover. Great news. Now, I told you before, the old brakes go ring, ring, ring. These ones also do. Now listen. And I was like, what the fuck is that for? Now, I'm gonna try, and you know what? I'm gonna get the tripod, show you this wheel, how it has a slight wobble to it. So now I'm gonna spin this wheel and just look at this lip portion here, how it just kind of bounces. Ready? And it's grinding the brake. What the f***? Now you can see it. It just moves ever so slightly. And it's with the rotor too, so it's not a bent wheel. Is it the hub? Like the bearing? I don't know. It doesn't have any play in it, so... I don't know. I might leave it for just now. I don't think I'm gonna drive it. I do have to work on other people's cars, and it's kind of just sitting right in the middle of the shop on jack stands, so not exactly ideal. But this car does shake on the highway at like 80. It'll like the steering wheel just like do, but it tracks straight. So that could be it. That'll do it. Let me further investigate. I'm gonna pull this wheel off, and I'll show you what I find, if anything. Poopy doops. Well, it appears as if it's my wheel bearing that is the problem. I mean, I got my caliper sitting on there now, but the issue is the bearing itself kind of has like a going on to it. And of course, it's like such a pain in the ass. I mean, it's like, I would assume you pop that cover off and then there's a giant bolt or nut or something, and then do that, or it's completely pressed into this knuckle. And either way, stuff's got to get freaking popped off. This freaking kind of sucks. So in the meantime, I am going to put it all back together
and I'm probably not gonna drive it. I don't really want to mess up these nice new pads and rotors. Poop. All right, well, I will order a wheel bearing. I have freaking all new tie rods. I have freaking, it's all in the trunk. I've had mad stuff for a long time. I have the tie rods, I have the ball joints, and I have some other stuff for the front of the car, and I've been meaning to refresh it and been putting it off, but I guess now is the freaking time for it. But I guess I'm gonna just put this all back together really quick. That's back on for now. I don't think I'm gonna do this anytime soon, maybe a week or so, we'll see. I gotta figure out bearings. I think you can only get the bearing, you can't get the hub too. I mean, you never know. We'll see. I'm reluctantly gonna swap the front lip. Like, it's so dumb, dude. I put this one on for no reason, just to take it off and put a cracked one back on. But I think it'll look better, so I'm gonna do it. The color match looks so much better. Funny story though, this Greddy lip does not fit for shit. Like, I tried before to get it to fit nice, and this is like the best you can get. Like, there's still a gap here. I don't know. The freaking eBay $100 lip fits better than that super fancy pants expensive Greddy fucking lip from Japan. But it is the same color, and from here, you can't see no crack. You ain't seeing nothing. Can you see it yet? Can you see it? Can you see it? Yeah, right there. Right there, baby. It's not that bad when it's on the car. Honestly, super happy putting this back on because I think it looks super tough. Unfortunately, that wheel bearing situation's got to get addressed. But for now, I think I'm going to drop it down on the ground, torque all the lug nuts down, see what things are looking like. The Big Brake Kit looks pretty freaking sick, dude. Big brakes. Hell yeah. Gotta do something about the backs now. The backs are so tiny. Look at these little rinky-dink brakes. Yeah, take this spacer off, put the old one back on, get her on the ground, get all these cars out of the way, and it'd be pretty sick to wash this thing too, so probably give it a wash, get some B-roll, and call it a freaking day. So hot. It is 90 something and humid as hell. Just finished washing the car, and by goodness, it looks pretty good. Just look at it. Good unit. I would take it for a drive, but it's 90 something and this thing doesn't have AC. And I also never topped up the brake fluid, so I should probably do that before I really take it for a real drive. But brakes do stop pretty good. Ready? Brake test, and oh yeah, locked them up real good. Hell yeah, baby. Spicy in here. Why is it so spicy? All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, even if it's a couple hundred here, a couple hundred there. You're the best.
I appreciate you for liking my shitty content, and I'm gonna keep making it. So if you wanna subscribe for more, subscribe, like this video, leave a comment. I usually am pretty good about responding it unless you're talking shit. So leave a comment, we can talk. All right guys, take it easy.